Hi, this is Steve. Welcome back to Scale Model Kit Review. In this video I continue to build the Aston Martin DB5. I am on issue 21. Now I am on stage 82. This is going to be part 1. We're going to have 2 parts to this particular stage. So if you haven't done so already, head over to eaglemoss.com and subscribe to this car today. It may not be available forever, and get it while you can. While you're at it, head over to my friend Phil's YouTube channel and subscribe to his channel. It's called Sprueverse. I put a link in the description below. Phil does a fantastic job. He actually finished building this car already, and he gives you some great tips and pointers on his experience with building this model. So like I said, head over to Sprueverse and subscribe to his channel today. Tell Phil I said hello. Well, let's get started. Welcome back. Let's look at the build instructions for stage 82. This will be part 1. If you haven't done so already, head over to Eagle Moss and subscribe to this car today. We are getting to the final stages with this build, and this is the final stage for pack 21 or issue 21. We have one more issue to complete, so we're getting there. Let's look at these instructions in detail. And of course, we in this issue we received the exhaust pipes, and we're going to start installing the engine and interior on this. Let's get a close look at the instructions. And here we start with the exhaust system. We start assembling those components right there. Then we move over to gathering all our parts we'll need to install the engine and engine bay. So we'll need the assembled bulkhead, we'll need the main PCB board, the assembled main body, and the assembled engine. And here you see it, and here you and the first step here is kind of comical because we did this, and the first step here is kind of comical because I actually did a revisit. And the first step here is kind of comical to me because I actually filmed a revisit video for this. Because they never showed it in the instructions previously, was to install the oil pan and bottom of the gearbox, which means you have to take the engine apart to put the L-type screw in on top here. So if you followed my videos, you should already be done with that. Next we get our bulkhead assembly, and they want us to take it apart. So we're going to take off both sides, and they just snap together, and we're going to take off the air cleaner that's attached to the back side here also to get it out of the way. Next we're going to install both bulkheads on each side, and they tell us you got to be very careful, make sure that it is mounted down all the way and firmly seated before you put your screw in. So we're going to do one side at a time, making sure it's completely down all the way. You might have to use some force, but you could actually use a little bit of grease on these pins to help them slide in a little easier. And we're going to use some C-type screws for that. Next, we're going to get our engine and we're going to slide it in from the front all the way in. And then they want us to install the aft bulkhead. I may actually wait on that and actually go to the bottom here and screw down the engine. There's 2 points, one on the transmission, one on the oil pan. We have a C-type screw for the transmission, an L-type screw for the oil pan. And then I'll go back to this, install the aft bulkhead and the blower trunking itself. And that will be all that we do for this issue, stage 82. So that, you know, I'm getting super excited because now I have one more issue to do. So let me get the parts out and we'll get started. And here's the parts for stage 82. And you can see it's all our exhaust parts here. So let me take these out and we'll get a closer look. And here's a close-up of those parts. We received all these exhaust components here and they're all made of plastic. So we have the left and right exhaust bottom pieces, and that's these with the mufflers tied into them. We have the left and right pipe top pieces, and that's these right here. And then we have the exhaust pipes themselves. The screws that came with this are L screws black and L screws chrome, and then the Q screws. You can find a complete chart for these screws on my Facebook group. I put a link in the description below. Let's get started on this build. So we're not going to be using these exhaust pipes just yet, so I'm going to put them aside and move them out of the way. We're going to be using the L-type screws, which are the chrome ones. We need to use 4, and we have a spare. And we're simply going to put this down on that, the top and bottom pieces, and screw them down. It's that simple. And getting excited because the car's almost done. So remember these next few steps, the tolerances are very tight for all the parts, and if you don't screw something down or get it seated all the way like it should be, it's going to give you problems later on mounting your body onto the chassis. So as we go along in this stage, you know, remind yourself of that you need to secure everything down and tight. Go ahead and test fit everything, make sure everything lines up like it should. And then go through the process of installing. Work ahead, look to see what may be in your way. Maybe the wires are going to be in the way. You need to get those out of the way before you install the engine and that type of thing. So here we go. The exhaust system is complete, and I don't think we'll install that in this stage. We'll be installing it in a later stage. I'll be right back. And of course, here's our engine compartment, the side panels, both sides, and the aft bulkhead. So they want us to go ahead and detach the side panels from the aft bulkhead. And so I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to pull off the trunking here for the back and slide this off. So that's out of the way, and I'll go ahead and unscrew that and screw it back on later just to get it out of the way. So there's our trunking, that's off. Put that aside for now. And same thing with this, and slide this off. Okay, so now we'll need to get the chassis out, and we'll start install this on the chassis. And here's the chassis, and in preparation of putting the engine in, I wanted to neaten up all my wiring. So if you look here, all the wiring coming from the front is running along the side here, underneath, and all the way to the back. Okay, so when the transmission goes into this, it's going to be out of the way and hopefully won't interfere with the engine install at all, because the engine mounts here and here on these parts. Okay. Steering works pretty good, actually. Okay. So we want to put we'll put the left side on, or the passenger side. Do it where it can be seen. And to help it along, we have some pins that I'm going to go ahead and grease up. We have a pin here. And like always, I like to use my Vaseline for that. And a pin up here. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. While I'm here. Now I did test fit these earlier to make sure that they line up, and they line up perfectly. So I recommend you do that. If it doesn't line up, something's interfering and something may not be installed right. So you want to go back and check your work. Okay, so we're going to do this side here first. Now the secret is to kind of go down at an angle on top of it. Got that one on there, and then the one on the front here. Line up that pin and press down on it, and make sure it's down all the way, even in the back, which it is. I need to get some C-type screws out for this. Okay, put a C screw into this one. Probably could use some lubrication on this. I'm going to take my larger number 1 PH1 Weir screwdriver and tighten that screw down even tighter. That's good there. And we will do the other side. Same thing. We want everything to line up. Line it up on that pin and on the pin on the front. Snap it down. Don't be afraid to put pressure on this plastic. It is very sturdy type of plastic. ABS plastic. It's a lot stronger than your normal polystyrene plastic. I'll go ahead and lubricate the hole for that. And we'll put a C-type screw on there. And it is down all the way. And that is in. Now we get our engine out. And if you haven't done so already, and you haven't installed your oil pan and part of the transmission, it's all one piece. I did that in a previous video, but in order to do that, you're going to have to take the whole top end off to get that L-type screw in to secure it down. So that's why I did it earlier, and it mind boggles me why we're doing it right now in the instructions. So you should be good if you've been following my videos all along. So all we have to do now is simply slide this in place. Okay, and it should just go right in, just like that. So I'm going to try something here to kind of help me out. I'm going to put some tape over the top of the engine here to hold it in place. And that's all I want to do, just kind of keep it like that so it's held in place. And then I'm going to slide this upside down here to look to see what I got. Okay. And there we go. Now they want us to put an L-type screw into the front here. And I'll do that. It's going into plastic. And there we go. And the back is going into metal. So we got to be careful here. I'm not want to put a whole lot of pressure on this while I'm screwing it down. Okay, so I'm holding it from underneath. I'm going to put a C-type screw into this. Going in the metal. Back to a larger screwdriver. And I'll do the same for the front, larger screwdriver. And that's tight. I'll turn this over. And there's the engine. It's in place. Next, we're going to put the firewall in place. And in this case, I want to go ahead and lubricate everything. I'm going to lubricate these sides so that way we get a good install where it needs to be. I'm going to do both sides, the inside and outside of this firewall. This one too. Okay. Okay. I know it seems funny that I'm greasing these up, but that's such tight tolerances that I want to make it easier for myself. And now we'll get it to line up. And it's just getting the side pieces to snap in. There's that side. Turn it around where I can see it. And there, snapped in. So the Vaseline helps with that because it is very tight tolerances, and now that firewall is in all the way. You can go back and clean it with some Windex and a Q-tip if you like. And then now we can reinstall our trunking here, but before we do that, they want us to mount this hose on the rail here. So I'm going to take this hose here and install that hose on that railing. There we go. And that looks good. Now I can take my trunking there. There we go. And that's in. And put our screw back in on the other side. And that's in. Looks good. I'm going to turn it over just to check the mounts on the engine one more time. And that is good. Right there. I think it looks great. Side camera. That's how that all looks. Top camera. And you want to make sure, like I said, all the sides of the engine compartment are flush and down all the way and screwed down all the way. And that completes stage 82. This is actually part 1 of stage 82 because I'm going to give you a part 2 with just the wiring and the PCP board, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, remember that all your tolerances need to be right. Everything needs to be screwed down here as best as possible to where everything lines up on top and you're not going to have any interference when you go to install the body. Just take your time with that, test fit, and get all your screws in. Now, it said to put in some C-type screws, I believe it was, 4 of them, but really I only put in 1 on each side. They do nothing up front, they don't hold anything down, the holes are just too large on the plastic for that to happen. Wouldn't hurt if you wanted. You could super glue those tabs on the end to keep everything in place, but I really don't think it's necessary. Everything is tight in there. I did use grease to help me along with the firewall to get that all snapped in place, and that worked great for that. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell for all notifications. Head over to eaglemoss.com and subscribe to this card today. So stay tuned for part 2 of this stage, and happy modeling and take care.